Hey, what's up, guys? Right now I'm going to show you how to process an easier way using a plugin, how to process disco house loops and give your samples a bit of, bit of bottom end, and make them sound quite loud and nice. And by loud, I mean, what you have to understand is back in the day, disco records were mixed and mastered differently. So it's quite essential if you're sampling from, a couple decades ago. It's essential that you process them, and generally you can use to make it sound on par with your other sounds. You'd use multiple plugins, but I found one that is quite useful in doing all sorts of things, and I'll show you that right now. So basically we have a disco loop. This is unprocessed. We have our sample, which will remain nameless, and our house loop with the sample looped. Right, so generally we have this compressor is only ducking, so no processing is being done by the able compressor. I'm using CamelPhat to generally add some really fun things to it, but what I'll do is I'll clear preset, and for French and disco house, they call it filter house. Filter house basically means there's a filter. There could be multiple. It could be a band pass or a high pass or a low pass, and generally I only use low pass and high pass. Low pass would be or a high pass would be this. Filters out all the low end as you go up, and a low pass would be a typical like Moog filter, right? And to do that, you would need 2 instances of auto filter, but on here it's 2 in 1, which is pretty cool. But for the beginner, processing a disco sample would be kind of difficult to do, but there's an EQ called a magic EQ. It adds magic. I'm not sure how it works, but it adds a lot of low end, and you want that low end because disco was mixed and mastered differently. You want that low end on the bottom to be on par with your drums that you're using. So what we'll do is there's an amount and a tune. So what you want is to raise the amount till you can hear it, and then sweep the tune to figure out where the bass will fit, and it depends on the track. So we'll play that now. Right there, there's an audible difference there, and right now that's a lot of low end up high, but that's not where the heart of the bass is. Right, and what that does is that boosts. It doesn't just boost the low end; it boosts and then cut, and it gives it like a harmonic kind of flavor. That's why I guess that's why they call it magic EQ. But once you do that, you need to compress it, because it lowers the perceived volume, but the compressor will bring it back up. And it's very simple to do. It's just an amount knob, which is valuable for the beginner trying to get into this music. So you basically turn it on. You can use it to extreme. So it's a mixture of these two, magic EQ and the compressor. Right now it's loud, but there's no low end. Right, and that's quite a bit. It might be too much. Right, and I'll on and off. You can hear the difference. And then within the context of the track. See, without it, it's really thin and it doesn't stand out. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can use a bit, and I'm saying a bit of distortion, which will add color. But there's quite a bit of color, but we'll add that just for fun. If you're lacking the low end, you can excite. The exciter, it excites the high end. It's basically it's a multi-band saturation. It'll only saturate the high end. But this piece of material already has a lot of high end, so you don't really have to worry about that. Usually, disco house they'll excite the high end with an EQ if it needs it. So yeah, I'll show an example of how this would be used because they boost the high end at a particular area. But we have percussion hits and all that fun stuff in these loops here. But yeah, so you'd have that, right? And then we drop another instance of CamelPhat, because you can have more than one. We drop another one here. So this is the master and this is the sample, and typically you would have drops in clear preset. You'd have drops in French and disco house where the filter will be working with a bit of resonance, and you can hear that, and with the flanger as well, a mixture of those two. I'll show you. Right, with a bit of resonance. Listen to like any French house, disco house track, it does this. And then you can kind of low pass it as well. These are all, you can automate these all, and you can connect them to knobs too. Right, and with a bit of flanger, it really adds it. Right, and this will build tension. Oops. And it's good for kind of live performance as well. But yeah, it's basically, you know, an all-in-one plugin for disco house music, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll try to do another couple examples using this particular product. But yeah, hope you like it, and take